So, like, I know I said we're gonna talk about Daleks, but, I gotta say, those things look stupid. They're just absolutely ridiculous.
Exterminate!
Fuck all this noise.
Exterminate! 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 Exterminate!
Gentlemen, it's time once again to discuss things.
And someone will be here to see my body language. But hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. We have a big supersized cast tonight because we're gonna be really getting into it. With me tonight is Milan Jeff 1992, Senior Nerd. There's me, Sid Part 2, and we got my friend Chris Nerdzik, aka the Jew. You can call him either of those, and I swear it's not offensive, no matter what. So Chris, the Jew, what are we talking about tonight?
Daleks.
Yes, that is correct. Simplicity. That's why I like Chris, because you can be just direct to the point and not elaborate at all, which might have helped a little bit, but oh well. Anyway, so Daleks. We're not just talking about, oh, how cool they are or anything like that. We're going to discuss their role as villains, because the wavelength that it got me thinking about this, I've been watching Doctor Who lately. Kevin got me into it, and he was he was the guy I played chess against, and I whooped his monkey ass in the other episode, Geek Gentleman. Here's a link right there, annotation. But anyway, he got me starting to watch Doctor Who, and I just was thinking about Daleks, and you got Batman and the Joker, you got Superman, Lex Luthor, Doctor Doom, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, Green Goblin, and the Doctor and the Daleks. That's pretty much it right there. It's nail on the head. They're not a single person, but it's that arch rival kind of, ultimate enemy dynamic, and I think that's really something very interesting. So we're going to talk about them in that regard. We're going to talk about their effectiveness as villains. And Milan and I are the ones that know the least about Doctor Who. Chris and Ed know a lot more than us. They've actually watched a lot of the old stuff, whereas I've only watched the new stuff. I don't know how much of the old stuff you've ever watched, Milan.
I actually watched I really did get into Doctor Who in the early 2000s. When the Doctor was like a sort of a balding, badass in a leather black coat. And he screamed at the Daleks. And for the longest time, I thought they were called Garlics with a G. But apparently they have a D in front of their name. But I remember this one episode that really, put the nail on the head and really got me to think, like, holy shit, Daleks are fucking badass. Well, two particular episodes. The first one was when the Dalek was first introduced, well, the first time I ever saw one, was basically the government of the Americas basically got a Dalek in Area 51, and it basically went around killing people. And then there was a scene that happened in the episode where the Dalek reached a bunch of stairs, and a soldier looked down and said, "Oh, he can't get there." And then the Dalek slowly rose off the ground, and then I thought, and then I thought, shit just got real. Shit just got real, man. And then my other favorite Doctor Who Dalek moment is when the Emperor, the Dalek Emperor, and the Doctor's like, "How did you survive?" And the Dalek, you just hear this the most badass Dalek voice ever. "Through me." And you look at this giant ass Dalek thing, and oh, I'm so sad that we didn't see the thing move because it looked so fucking badass.
Yeah.
and it like it's oh my god, it's so great.
I
But
actually know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, Chris
You don't
has a
see
cool
him-
book with him
You
today.
don't see him moving because he is the ship.
Yeah,
Like, he is. When you see the ship moving, that's him moving.
yeah. The episode we were all talking about, the Ascend, I'm gonna take a stab at the dark here, okay? I'm gonna say in all the old episodes of Doctor Who, we never saw those things fly or go upstairs, am I right?
No,
I
actually,
don't.
they,
If you,
no. Remembers of the Daleks was a 1989 episode, which featuring the Seventh Doctor, played by Sylvester McCoy. It was during their I want to say the 30th anniversary special. It takes place where the first episode of Doctor Who took place in 1963. The Doctor and his companion Ace, and there was a part where the Doctor was up the stairs and there's the Daleks, and they see the Daleks rose up and started flying, and he was going towards the Doctor, and in a cliffhanger.
Okay. All right, see, that's surprising. It seemed like that was very purposefully done. That the stairs were very purposefully done because, like we talked about in the RoboCop video, you know, the hardest thing that it is for a robot to do right now is to go upstairs. Honestly,
Yeah.
that is the Honda robot that is being made in Japan, the most sophisticated robot on the planet. And it constantly falls down the damn stairs. So I thought that was a really, very big point that the director or the cinematographer or writer or whatever was trying to make is, here's why we felt the need to bring Doctor Who back again. Because we wanted to show how badass these things could be now with modern effects, how scary we can make things. And just, yeah, like Vlad said, that thing goes, ascend! And it starts floating up the stairs, and you're like, fuck. This is invincible now.
Shit just got real. Shit just got real.
That episode was actually more scary than it starting to rise up the stairs. Was the scene where all of the soldiers are shooting at it, and it takes 30 people out with 2 shots.
Yeah.
By taking out the sprinkler and then shooting the water.
Mm-hmm. That was really cool.
Yeah.
It's really interesting to see how, that's the great thing that the new series I think has done is with these villains is every time they come back, they're more frightening. And it started out with just one, and you saw the raw power that thing had. You know, how damned effective it was in every conceivable way. And then the next time you see them, there's an army. And then the next time you see them after that, they're desperate and they're sending out, giant armies. And actually, that was my personally favorite episode when, it's the 3rd appearance, I think, in the series where they are, facing the Cybermen.
Oh yeah.
And that was so cool because you
The
saw how
Cult of
big.
Skaro.
Yeah. You saw how big a threat the Cybermen were in a previous episode. How they were gonna they almost took over the world in just one episode. They almost took over the world, and then the Cybermen are sitting there talking to the Daleks. He goes, "You are superior in only one way. What way is that? You are better at dying." Just like this, there are 4 of them versus millions of Cybermen. It's like, you would destroy 5 million Cybermen with only 4 Daleks. Negative! We would destroy 5 million Cybermen with 1 Dalek!
Oh, that was my favorite line from that episode. I was like, yeah, you saw that the Daleks are so determined on, and they're so threatening of. They could wipe out an entire continent just by 1 Dalek.
It seems that way. I mean, if the technology isn't advanced,
Right.
definitely.
Both those times that the Dalek was just wiping things out, they were lower technology.
Yeah,
lower
but
technology.
still, that's the thing is those things.
Right.
We're talking about multiple bullets hitting it all at one time, and the thing just shrugs it off.
The bullets don't hit it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that I really like about them is these are essentially Nazis in space.
Yeah.
The thing about the Daleks that I love is the little engine that could. And it's like it's a testament to freaking British writing that they can make a trash can fucking plunger on it seem this terrifying. It's like, oh my god, it's like Daleks.
Yeah, it's
Like,
an egg beater and a plunger, and it's the most frightening piece of technology on the planet.
Yeah.
Like, that was the line that the Ninth Doctor said, is the trash cans of the universe, or something like that, didn't he? The trash can armies, something like that. That cracked me up. That's what the whole intro was about, that's what was so impressive about bringing these things back in a modern context, was you look at them, and they just look silly. Like, there's no way. Like, this thing looks dumber than R2-D2. And yet you see it, and you see what it does and how frightening it can be, and you're just well, fuck this noise, and you leave. I think my favorite moment for him was in the second episode that they came in and the newer stuff. And like I said, we're mostly gonna be talking about the newer stuff. It was on the satellite, and you see just a bunch of these like things attacking the satellite. And then you just see one outside of a window in space, and it's floating there, and you just see the lights on the top of its head, like, blink. And you don't even hear it, but you know exactly what it's saying. It is saying, exterminate! And it's just, that's so iconic. It's like, grabbed it as its own, why so serious? It grabbed it as its, like, that's its line. That is its shaken, not stirred. Do not point the laser screwdriver at me, nerd. Chris went out today and bought himself a laser screwdriver.
As he would.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, if I had video, I'd show you guys. We'll post a picture of it or something, maybe. I'm not writing down notes, so if I remember to take a picture, I'll post it. Anyway, so yeah, he bought a laser screwdriver, and he's been pointing it at me and threatening me with aging for the last couple hours as we waited on the line. No, it's just like the point I was making though. It's that line, that exterminate, is just so iconic to it. It's got to be said in that same way, but it was really interesting. And that's its catchphrase.
I like how it elevates. Like exterminate, exterminate, exterminate. It goes up.
It's almost like it's having an orgasm. It's orgasmic.
It's
like a religious fervor.
It's
like the what? It's like a religious.
Hold on, go ahead.
It's like a religious fervor. It's like that's their Allah Akbar. It's awesome.
Well, like, I really do like it because it's more than just the word. It's that, like, mechanical, tortured, like, what's garbage disposal kind of voice. It sounds like someone shouting through the bottom of a garbage disposal. And it's just, it's like, when you talk into a fan and you get that effect in your voice? Yeah, it's kind of like that, but, like, it feels more dirty and just grinded up.
It's like they're crunching. It's like they're eating like broken glass and getting electrocuted. It's like they're eating broken glass.
It's like they're chewing on batteries.
Indeed, not even that. It's like just electrical wires and they're fucking. It's such a fucking dirty, soulless, technologically, monstrous voice. I love it.
That actually kind of brings us closer to something like Chris. When I asked Chris to join in for the video, he and I were hanging out to shoot the intro, and of course we got onto the topic more than we should have, but Chris brought up something that I'd like him to talk about now. Can you talk about the history of them, like how they were created? You were talking about their original creator and stuff, and I was wondering if you could go into that a little bit.
Davros?
Yeah.
How they were a species called the Khalid? And sorry. And they
Okay. What was the name, Ed?
They were called Daleks, and Daleks are the anagram.
Yeah. Okay.
right. Reverse. It's
the reverse spelling of Dalek. Okay. Anyway.
And what it was is they were in a long war with another species on their planet, and there's a bunch of nuclear fallout. So they had a scientist, a colleague scientist, that would start to try to see if his species could evolve because of all of this radiation, and he made these like sort of cases for his species to live in to survive through the radiation, and they just slowly evolved through picking through and taking out things that he didn't like until they basically came to the Daleks that you see in the series. But because of all the hate that they have, they turned on him because he wasn't like them.
Yeah, I really find that kind of genocidal, that's what I was saying, Nazis in space. It's like, if the Nazis actually won, this is what they would be like, you know, this just, we are genetically perfect kind of thing. And that's so interesting to me that they went with that dynamic. Now let me ask this, Ed, you seem much more familiar with the history than everyone else here. Did they, in the original stuff, before the new series, which is what we're, like I said, mainly sticking to, did they ever show the inside of a Dalek? Like, did they ever open up a Dalek case and we see the inside?
Yes, I think in the 80s they did that. They look like a kind of like a guy, like a messed up looking guy without any arms, and he had like wires in his head or something.
Well, they look kind of like nasty ass starfish.
Yeah, they look like space slugs. The inside of a Dalek. It was, believe it was
You don't have to give me an episode number or anything. I'm just curious to see it, like, because that's the thing is this new series.
It was more like they never even like fully. I think Dalek from the new series was the first episode we saw up close a Dalek, how they look like.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking, because in that episode they show it just. It's such an epic reveal to see what it actually looks like. Yeah. That's he's showing me the Cult of Scar one right here, and it's
actually not the Cult of Scar. That is actually that.
Scar, yeah.
No, that is actually from that episode.
Oh, that is? No, he wasn't black in that episode.
Was he?
No. He was just a standard gold one. It was interesting to see because it was such a ballsy move. It was such a like epic reveal from all the build up to what does this thing look like, and it opens the case and it looks kind of pathetic.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like it could be stepped on easily, and that's the thing is I have a hard time. It's an interesting commentary. Let me put it that way. That they say, you know, here is this species, and they think they're genetically perfect, but when you look at them, they're not. They're hideous monsters that could never do anything without this suit of armor.
Right.
And
they can't even travel through time without.
Yeah, I find that to be a very good, interesting commentary upon the genetically perfect attitude that like Nazis had. Not to go back to Nazis, but to totally go back to Nazis.
Well, they were pretty much they were pretty much influenced. That was like the inspiration of Daleks.
I can tell.
Yeah.
If Daleks
That's called inspiration.
Does that mean Time Lords are space Jews, or they're the Americans?
I think they're the Americans because they don't run away and hide in cupboards.
But they did. Oh.
And you're not Daniel Craig. You are not Moses on a white horse with a brown leather jacket and machine gun. Because that's what he was in that movie. And I know you have all the guns and stuff in this room and the leather
and a brown
jacket.
leather jacket somewhere.
But it doesn't matter. You don't have a white horse to stand on and give speeches from. So there.
Oh, wasn't Daniel Craig a Russian dude in that movie?
No, in that... I think they're Russian Jews, but still... or maybe they're Polish Jews, but still, it was there's that movie where he was a Jew and they hid in the forests. They hid in the forests.
Oh,
I don't know what forest is. Sounds like someone that majors in studying horrors.
The thing is, the episode that really got to me, that Sid mentioned their whole awesome obsession about being, genetically superior, well, just like despicable space slugs. But in the older series, the early 2000s, series, yeah, this is the same episode with the, I think it's the episode after the Gallic Emperor was revealed, but basically what he said was like he actually genetically he took like there's some
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Human DNA.
Would you like me to explain it?
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah, because Milan just trips over his words. In one episode, we found out that the Daleks had been, basically kidnapping humans, taking part of their DNA and using them to grow new Daleks. And the doctor commented about how that's the saddest thing he's ever heard, because not only do they hate themselves now, they still have these ideals of, perfection that they could never live up to, and it's kind of his fault. As horrible as they are, it's still kind of sad because they don't really have a choice. It's not like a Dalek gets to be born and then it gets to choose to join the army or anything like that. It's brainwashed for its entire lifespan. So he did feel bad about that, and that's an interesting thing. And that actually brings me to one thing. Like I kind of want to touch on this because I've been saying it all week in preparation for this. But with the Doctor, I really would like to read a Doctor and Superman crossover, because the two have such an interestingly similar moral philosophy. That everybody has good in them kind of ideal, and that if you just try hard enough, you can bring it out. But the thing is, the Doctor has to compromise and he has to kill a lot because he can't do the kind of things that Superman can do. So I'd really like to see a comic or an episode or something where those two have to confront and have to argue about whether or not there's anything that they can do, because Superman clearly, he is disappointed in himself, but he doesn't hate himself, whereas the Doctor very much hates himself. And I think the Daleks kind of ultimately are the ultimate demonstration of that, because in that first episode of this newer stuff, the Dalek looks at him and says, you would be a good Dalek. And that was so incredibly interesting that, you get that same Batman and Joker where it's the exact same person, really. End of the day, there's not many significant differences between these two. It's just who's doing what we consider right.
Yeah, it's who are we portrayed who do we have the good guy portrayed as?
Yep. And that's the thing. I mean, if you were someone that was raised as a Dalek was raised, you'd see this poor creature that was held by the humans for like over 50 years, they say, and he had to escape and he had to compromise himself, and he had to make all these great sacrifices and stuff like that. And it was really interesting. There's a argument for him, but since we know him as villains, they are villains to us. It's an interesting point to me. Someone else can talk now.
There's a really interesting scene in that same episode where the Doctor just realizes that the Daleks have a concept of religion, because the Dalek Emperor, he calls himself, I am the god of the Daleks, I've created life. and then the Doctor says, but you mixed with human DNA now, and the Emperor just goes nuts, like, do not blaspheme! And all the other the Daleks are like, do not blaspheme, do not blaspheme!
Do not blaspheme!
And then it just says the most, the Doctor, it's like, when did the Daleks have a concept of religion?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome. It's just...
Yeah.
And that's when the Doctor realizes that they've been using the human DNA, and that all of the Daleks and that entire army were insane and hated themselves because they weren't pure.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing too. You kind of saw that come to a head during the Cult of Skara episodes. Skaro episodes, where they sit there and the one the line that really got to me in that episode was Daleks are superior to humans. We should not use their DNA. And Skaro says, Sec. Dalek Sec says, if Daleks are superior, why are there only 4 of us and 6 billion humans? and that was just really good because it really got to that same perfection fallacy kind of point where you need to be able to adapt. You can't just kill everything and make it work for you. You have to be able to change who you are for any given situation. And the idea of that is just it's completely foreign to a Dalek, which I found very interesting. It's they're, for as evil and as terrifying as these things can be, there are also other moments where you really legitimately feel sad for them just because of how ignorant they are, Go ahead, Juan.
The same thing you feel for white supremacists.
A little bit. I could agree with that to a point because a lot of them don't really have a choice. They live in a community where that's all they're told their entire lives, and ignorance should not be forgiven, but it should be understood. Is something I always try to remember. Racism and stuff like that. It's pathetic, but you don't necessarily. Not everyone chooses to be a racist. There are definitely people that do, and you shouldn't just go, "Oh, you're a racist. That's fine." You should still look down on them, but you should be willing to help them. You should feel compassion for someone that has these kind of biases in their life.
And that's the thing about the Daleks. They're just. It's really interesting that these creators basically made the Nazis, basically embodialize. They basically portrayed the Nazis, embodied the Nazi ideal in such a great subversive way of just these space slugs and trash cans.
One of the things about the Daleks that actually makes them more frightening than just, their big hateful space trash can is that they actually think. You have this thing that you expect them to always do, and then some episodes, like, they just don't do what you expect them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like with the new Dalek paradigm, where is that at? I need to make sure I said it right. Yeah, the new Dalek paradigm, where they had new pure Daleks. Those 5 Dalek probably could have wiped out the Earth if they decided to stay. But instead, they just wanted to leave. They just wanted to leave, go off, and just make their own army again. Like, they could have done what they wanted to do with those 5, because they had a ship. But they didn't. They just wanted to get out of there.
That episode really was frightening to me because the new purebred Daleks come out, and there were the 3 Daleks that helped them get to that point. And the new Daleks said, "You are unpure," and they were like, "Yes, we are. You will be exterminated." They basically said thank you or something like that. And that was horrifying. That they were that brainwashed. Like, that's the thing. The Daleks aren't horrifying because they're, these, monsters that can kill anything. They're horrifying because of how damn dedicated they are.
Yeah.
It's like watching, bare bone, or like a to the bones Nazi and, a brainwashed, Al Qaeda member and a, what's the bomber? Kamikaze, thank you. And a kamikaze bomber thrown together into just this monstrous, deformed, hideous little shell. Yeah, mutant inside a box, and it's horrifying that someone could be, anyone that's willing to die at a point like that when they're still useful to their cause is scary to me. Even if their cause is completely and totally ridiculous, it's useless, it's stupid, it's still horrifying that they'd be willing to kill themselves just because they no longer meet the criteria.
Yeah, and it's just so interesting because it's almost like the things that the neo-Nazis say, like, you are willing to die if we find out that there is some Jew or Negro blood in you are dedicated. You should commit suicide because you are hideously impure and you are not fit to wear those swastikas.
Yeah, and that actually brings me to something that I just thought of, and it's definitely worth discussing. Alright, so we've been talking about Daleks are Nazis. You know what else major British fiction uses parallel to Nazis?
What?
Harry Potter and the Death
Totally.
Eater.
Totally.
Yeah, very much
Oh.
the same thing. And Hagrid made a big point that the statement of pure blood is ridiculous. That there's no way you could be anything that you have to at least be a fourth or more in the modern world because there's so few wizards. And that's a really good connection to the Daleks because the universe is so big. There has to be more than just pure Dalek out there. So how could they say that they're pure, they're untainted, and that they're obviously superior because of this, when we know that they had to get to this? They had to compromise. They had to have some kind of interaction with other species, otherwise they wouldn't exist. And that's.
This man is why there are pure Daleks. Davros. He is the reason there are nothing but pure Daleks. Until after after the Time War is when they start to have less than pure. Because the Time War is when Davros originally died, if you will. Although in Doctor Who, no one really dies and stays dead.
Well, that's comic books. That's
Yeah.
science fiction all together.
And time travel, you get all of that.
Yeah, well,
But-
the thing that got me about it is even that. I mean, you said that they were on a planet with two species.
Right.
They had to mix it some. I refuse to believe.
The Thals.
Yeah, I refuse to believe that they had absolutely no genetic interaction.
They would have, but what became the Daleks?
Well, yeah, I understand that he was
stripped out all
picking
of
and choosing.
that.
He was mechanically engineering. But the thing is, they had to have had interaction, not necessarily physical, but other kind of interaction with other species
You know
in
what?
order
Yeah.
to exist. I mean, where did he get the trash cans from? Did he just materialize them?
No, he built them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but where did he
was-
get the metal?
You
Like
know-
the metal was.
The metal's called Dalekanium.
It seems like if it had to come from the planet, unless he.
Their home planet, Skaro.
Yeah, so if it came from Skaro that had another species on it, guess what? Metal is made in the core of a planet and from the things that have been left on that planet years and years going underground
Yeah.
again and again. Guess what? There's going to be some kind of species. What I'm saying is there's some level, even if it's at the slightest bit, there's some level of other interaction. It's an absolute
But
fallacy of
They don't
perfection.
really care too much about the suit, if it's pure or not. Like, if the metal that they're made out of isn't pure Dalekanium, then alright, they can budge on that a bit. It's the Dalek inside that they are caring about.
Okay, I guess it seems iffy to me. Well, that's not even so much the point. It's just it seems like a fallacy to argue that you're perfect in every way because you have to
Cybermen.
compromise.
The Cybermen are the same way.
Yeah, they're the exact same
That's
way.
why when they had those two come up and start arguing, they went on for like 5 minutes sassing back and forth.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually we're gonna take a quick break real quick just because I got permission from Lord Jazer to play one of his videos in this, and I gotta throw that in right now. So here you go, guys.
Daleks, be warned. You have declared war upon the Cybermen.
This is not war. This is pest control.
We have 5 million Cybermen. How many are you?
4.
You would destroy the Cybermen with 4 Daleks.
We would destroy the Cybermen with 1 Dalek. You are superior in only one respect.
What is that?
You are better at dying. Ah, shit, son. Consider yourself owned and exterminated.
The thing you were saying, Ian, the thing that these two races had to mix at some point. I know this is going to be a bit facetious, but it kind of reminds me of the whole, Palestine and Israel situation. Of like, the Muslims just hate the Jews, and they just don't want any sort of mixing because because they see as the Jews as inferior, and that both genetically and whatever, and religiously and whatever, and the whole people who marry like between religions, like if a Jew married a Muslim, that's seen as like something really 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 bad there, and people could get killed for that, but it does happen. I mean, that's the thing. There's bound to be some sort of genetic mixing, and
Right.
yeah.
Well, interesting. Touchy topic for Chris, because like as you were saying that, he was kind of like, moving around and stuff. So like, actually, this is a good point, and Chris has a personal perspective on this. Would you like to talk about it or not?
But they're exactly the same people. It's just different religions.
Right. Which was actually what the Khalids and Thals were. They were basically the same race with different beliefs,
Indeed.
but because of like their war against each other, they took different evolutionary paths. One of them took a natural evolution, well, natural as far as you can with radioactive weaponry, and the other took a forced evolutionary path. So once they started the war, it was no longer just a difference of ideal and became an actual difference of biology.
That's interesting. The other race in Doctor Who that's really similar is the
Cybermen.
no, not the Cybermen. What's the
Silurians.
I call them Space Spartans.
Oh,
The one with the big heads?
that's
The
right.
big heads.
Yeah.
Suntarans?
Yeah, the Centaurans. That they got that really same mentality of just battle means everything, and they let it affect their biology. And the Cybermen are a really interesting
Are those
thing.
the things with the big heads?
Yeah, the Potato Men.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's actually a good way to put it.
Yeah, well, that's what they look like. Is they look like this potato head with a pervy face. The Cybermen are obviously much more, closer to home. Daleks is the thing. Is you can definitely see the Cybermen over time. They're like, let's take a hypothetical. Let's say that the Cybermen were able to take over Earth entirely and convert every human being into a Cyberman. All right. Do you think that given time to change over the years, change their bodysuits and whatever, and eventually mess with the physicality of the brain, do you think that they would be any different than the Daleks?
Yes.
Really?
Actually. But in a publication that I actually have, they talk about the original Cybermen, not the ones that you have in the new seasons, that come from an alternate universe, but ones in that actual universe that they were in, how they started out as a very violent species. Then they evolved into the Cybermen, and then from there they evolved again into beings that did not require a body and were very peaceful.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, but I'm not. Do you find that the Cybermen in the current show is anything like the Cybermen back then, though, or similar enough to the Cybermen back then?
The difference between the old Cybermen and the new Cybermen, the old Cybermen evolved. The new Cybermen were made.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they were made, and eventually, that's the problem with the Cyberman thing, is they're converting, they're upgrading everybody,
Right.
Every human. Well, eventually you're gonna run out of humans, because sure, you can take its head out, but guess what? There was no eggs and sperm, so how are you gonna keep making new Cybermen? So eventually they'd have to start messing around with the biology. And that would be a really... I don't see them, honestly, ending up any different than the Daleks. I mean, maybe the physical appearance different, but mentally, I don't see them... Right now, they're hardly different. But there's still some major significant changes. In that the Cybermen don't believe they're genetically pure. They just think they're superior to humans.
Right.
The Daleks believe they're genetically pure. So I'd be interested to see the Cybermen, given time, if they would become anything significantly different than the Daleks. Well, we've talked a lot about the fallacies. I'll let you go on with whatever you want to add real quick, Milan, after I finish this. We've talked a lot about the fallacies, and we want to after I'm done one. After Milan's done, let's start getting into the effectiveness of them as villains. because we haven't really we've scratched it a little bit, but we haven't really delved into that. So Milan, go ahead.
Okay, the thing about the Cyberman that I really like is that some people would say certain parallel to zombies that they keep, they spread like a plague. But the Cybermen, I think there's more like a technological virus that spreads over a genetic species, like a fleshy species. And it's really interesting that they're not exactly, a thinking like fleshly brain, but they're a virus that's made of metal and wires and microchips, which is I find to be quite awesome.
Okay. Ed, do you have anything you want to add? You've been quiet, Ed.
No, well, I was thinking. Well, I want to go back, shifting back to the Daleks for their act of genocide. One episode, I think for me, from the new season, that I think they set up the most was the Stone Earth Journey Ends, which was the Return of Davros, and that's where the Daleks, if you see that season, the Daleks was taking certain planets in the galaxy, and they were building what is called the Reality Bomb, and that is to wipe out every living thing in existence. And their and the whole thing was to wipe out everything out of
Except
existence,
Daleks.
except Daleks. All the Daleks would be the only race to survive. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, this is a great point to get into the villainous
thing.
Because here is the ultimate Bond plot kind of thing. Because that's the thing. In all the Bond movies, it always seemed like the guy was going to blow up the world or something. And you just...
Government's headquarters.
Well, no. Like, there was that Dr. Evil thing where he was going to make the meteor hit the planet, and that was going to blow up, that was going to kill everybody. So I'm like, well, the hell, man.
The nihilistic kind of thing.
Yeah, the hell, you're killing yourself at that point. Yeah. What good's that gonna do you? It's that Joker mentality of, well, Batman, I'll make Batman die with me. Well, that helps you out, doesn't it?
It's kind of like the kamikaze. If I'm gonna go down, you're gonna go down with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna take you all down with me.
And the thing is, the Daleks were obviously gonna survive this, but it's kind of that ultimate, the universe is going to end for everybody except us. Even though we're not pure Dalek anymore, it seemed.
No, actually, at that point, they were pure Dalek because he made his DNA, and his DNA was Kali, which is what Daleks were derived from.
Okay,
So
I wasn't sure about that.
Dalek.
That's the problem I've had with the show the most, the new stuff, is every time they come back, I said they come back stronger, and that's definitely interesting, but every time they are defeated, we defeated the Daleks. The Daleks are finally dead. End of the next season, guess what? Major Dalek threat, right? It's a little cliche at a certain point,
but
I mean, they're such great villains and
that they can't get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's like Batman killing Joker, but the thing is, it's getting a little It's getting a little tired, isn't it?
It does speak to the test.
5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. Oh no, 8th.
They never saw the 8th Doctor?
Well, it's because the 8th Doctor is only around in a single episode.
Oh, was the 8th Doctor like a
movie?
It was a TV movie. Well, if you counted the audio dramas he was doing,
there you go.
But like it talked about on screen, then the Doctor never faced the Daleks. That's the 8th Doctor, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, like, I really do like them as villains, and we'll get into more of that in a second here, but the way in which the show keeps bringing them back as, we were the one survivors!
Oh, yeah.
Well, damn, guys. Do something, like, tell everybody your secret, you know?
Well, it's because, like, the first
they're like cockroach.
They are like cockroaches. That's another thing. They're not just like space Nazis. They're like space Nazis that are space cockroaches. Space trapped in.
They're space cockroaches.
I think you're just trying to throw space in front of words now. It's like space Pepsi.
Plungers.
It's like space Pepsi and like space SpongeBob and like space guitars.
Okay.
Space guitars sound awesome.
Okay, fine.
Milan, draw a space guitar. I want to be holding a space guitar. Can you do it?
What about Space Australia?
It's a space trash can with a time traveling plunger and a laser egg beater. Better?
A little bit.
Okay, but the thing is about the Daleks that I really like, it's a real testament to a writer that you can make something like as silly as a Dalek seem to be such a compelling villain.
Yeah, and that's something that we were talking about a little earlier, and it definitely bears repeating, is those things look dumb.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Like
It looked like R2D2 was
Go ahead.
okay because he was kind of funny, kind of, you know, like it was like
yeah,
yeah, it was supposed to be like, oh, look at the cute little
charming
robot.
droid.
And then you saw like episode 2 where he's flying and shit, you're like, are you fucking kidding me?
That's 3.
Was it 3?
That was 3.
No, because he flies in the factory for a bit. Yeah, it was 2 and 3 where he's flying around.
He never had any time later.
Yeah, where that would have been useful in episodes 5 when, you know, Han was being frozen in fucking carbonite. But thanks a lot, R2D2, for just chilling then.
Julian Kintobor. He is no more. I am now Robotnik.
Watch who you mess with. I'd be a little scared if I were you, Eggman.
Hey, sorry about that, folks. We had a technical difficulty, and I don't know where Ed went. In any case, the thing I was saying is R2D2, you know, looked fun and he was cute at first, and then when they started adding gadgets, that got stupid. But the Daleks have what they need, and Chris mentioned that they have, you know, they have a plunger, an egg beater, and a
Space
hive mind.
plunger.
Space plunger.
With a laser egg beater.
And a hive mind. And
Right.
what one knows, all of them know, except for the Cult of Skaro. And that actually got me into something that I really thought was a missed opportunity for the new series. And that is, you know, the Daleks took over, or we're trying to make human Daleks, because the Cult of Skaro was the last 4 Daleks, apparently. And that's the thing, it's always like, it's the last Dalek, like little asterisk, probably not.
It's the last Dalek that we're aware of.
Yeah, and then, but anyway, they're trying to make human Daleks, and the way the show went is they made them, but they didn't follow orders, so that the one remaining Dalek executed all of them, and that was certainly interesting because it gave the Doctor a chance to lecture someone about genocide, which is kind of like pot calling the kettle black, right? But anyway, that was certainly interesting, but I think it would have been a much more interesting story if what Dalek Skaro
Sect.
Oh, Dalek Sect.
Which one?
That
Sect.
Yeah, Dalek Sect wanted to happen. So he wanted to make human Daleks that were more human than Dalek.
Half and half.
Yeah. And I would have thought that would have been very interesting, because what if they did, and it was successful, and they went off into space, and then like a season or 2 down the line, the Doctor got a call to help defend the human Daleks against the Daleks. That would have been a very intriguing episode to me.
I know you haven't seen season 7.
Did they do something like that?
Not quite that, because they didn't use half human, half Daleks. It was all pure Dalek. But the Daleks actually called the Doctor for help. They actually called the Doctor because
you talk about Asylum of the Daleks. By the way, if you guys didn't, I didn't talk for the past 3 minutes. I got disconnected. So
yeah, we know.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So yeah, you talk about Asylum of the Daleks for this season,
yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's certainly interesting. I'm just saying, I would have found it very intriguing to see the Daleks respond to people that were trying to save their race when they felt it was at the very end.
The Asylum of the Daleks, that episode, the Daleks well, they don't call on the Doctor, they force him to help him. They force him to help them by telling him they pull him over one of their planets, which the entire planet is an asylum for Daleks that have gone insane. You know, Daleks that are so insane that this race of hateful genocidal mutants consider them too dangerous. And they, instead of killing them, because like it's almost like it's a temple for those that they see as perfect can reside. But they are terrified of them because they are so
Insane.
insane. And that's actually one of the episodes where I learned that they had the web, like the link,
Hive mind.
like a hive mind, if you will.
Interesting. And that certainly
do
is
they have?
similar.
Do
It's
they
just
still?
not exactly what I was
Sorry.
talking
Do the crazy?
Go ahead.
What?
There seems to be a time delay.
One question.
Go ahead, Milan.
Do the crazy Daleks still have the laser plunger, or did the normal Daleks remove it? Because if
No,
you
we
have a bunch of, they still have everything.
Why would they desecrate something so hateful by taking away its
Well, they
weapons?
didn't. Well, they
I mean-
did in the end. You remember that one section of the asylum where the Dalek only had the plungers.
Well, that one was because it was damaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you don't
Had
give
a ward.
you don't give guys
In-
you don't get
Hmm?
sorry you don't give guys in Arkham Asylum a bunch of knives and guns. Well, I guess you do in the games, but I mean, why would they leave the weapons
It's
there?
because when the Daleks go insane, they don't see them as being, oh, we need to take them, we need to do this. It's,
Yeah,
oh,
because
wow.
that they would just exterminate them, wouldn't
Yeah, if they thought it was something like that, they would exterminate them. They don't exterminate them at first because they are like another step of hate. There's so much more hate that they consider it beautiful. Which
So it's not an asylum, it's an art gallery.
kind of. But there is an actual ward for Daleks that have been damaged. But the reason that this ward exists is because of how they're damaged. They're Daleks that survived the Doctor. They have a ward of Daleks that survived the Doctor. It's almost like a place for heroes of the Daleks to be set down to be fixed after encountering the Doctor.
That's interesting. And
Basically, the Doctor has a whole wing at an asylum dedicated to him.
so it's kind of like the intensive or not the intensive, the maximum security wing at Arkham for Batman, huh?
Yeah.
Except every prisoner is stored with either a gun, a space plunger, or
There's got to be a better
Oh,
name.
Space A.
There's got. What do they call the plungers? Like, is there a name for those? You got the book.
there's no name for it.
It's just space plunger.
It doesn't even have that.
You know what? Christmas is coming up, Chris, and you know what I want you to get me for Christmas? I want a space plunger. Because I guarantee you, my toilet will never be clogged again if I had one of those motherfuckers. It sucked off the dude's face! Seriously,
Oh my
the Daleks should not be genocidal. They could be like the best plumbers ever.
Say, you guys,
They have an egg beater arm.
I would not want. I would not eat anything made by someone that's holding a plunger. I gotta be honest with you.
I would not.
they're the
They-
perfect
they- they-
household utensil. They're the perfect.
Yeah.
They're the perfect household utensil.
Yes.
Because they kill you.
Hey, I made you some eggs. Now be exterminated.
I made you a
Uh,
souffle. Oh, how did you make that? Eggs, stir, milk, bake.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
That's actually the episode. So.
Say,
Silent episode.
say, have you any of you watched the older series? Because, I think we how the Daleks look like in, I think it was the 60s or the 80s. Basically, it looked like just like a guy from the Borg, just like a guy in in an armless black like a black body sock with wires in his head. And it's strange. Is that what they really look like, or are the slug things their eventual outcome?
Like we were talking about that earlier, Ed said they'd hinted little glimpses at him throughout the original stuff, but it wasn't until the episode with the Ninth Doctor that we really got a view of, fucked up starfish, with an eyeball.
Not fucked up starfish. In the older series.
That's what we're saying is they'd given little sidelong glances at him, but you never actually saw the things until.
There was an actual guy that lifted up the top of the Dalek's head, and it was actually a guy in there with like a guy with a head and like just a body with no arms on it.
You sound like you're describing Davros, whatever his name.
Davros, the creator of the Daleks.
Yeah, Davros.
All right, that must have been him.
Okay, that looks like exactly like what you're describing. Yeah, he's the one that created them.
You're actually probably thinking of the second Dalek Emperor, which was Davros.
Okay.
They wired him up and made him their second Emperor.
All right, but let's try to get more into, like I said, the effectiveness as villains. All right, because we're dancing around a little bit. Like I said that they're the Joker to the Doctor's Batman. They're the Doctor Doom to his Fantastic Four. And I want to show everybody how big a nerd I am by using these references. And it's interesting to me. Do you think they stand up to that kind of comparison?
I do.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes, totally. They are, well, to me, I'll admit, I love the Daleks as a villain. I say my favorite villain for Doctor Who is the Master. Because he's like the total opposite of. He's like he is what the Doctor would have been have he decided that rather than to explore time and space, he wants to conquer it. And I like the Master, but the Daleks are pretty much like the most popular. I think they're popular.
I don't think it's just that they're popular. I think that they are
the most iconic.
I think they're the exact antithesis. I feel like the Master is a dark reflection, but I feel like the Daleks are a complete antithesis to the Doctor.
Because, yes, the Doctor wants to save and, understand other things. Whereas the Daleks just want to destroy and have everything be them.
Yeah. And I find that the mark of a great villain or villains in the Daleks' case, because they're
multiples.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about them because you really feel like you're just talking about one thing. Like that's the thing. Besides the cult of Skaro, besides the one member of the cult of Skaro, and a little bit with the Dalek Emperor, they're just one giant mind.
Actually, two people in the cult of Skaro. You forgot Dalek Khan.
Khan? Oh well, eventually him. Yeah.
No, talking Doctor Who, not Star Trek.
Same shit, different day.
Yeah.
It's actually, that's the thing. Doctor Who is the British reaction to Star Trek. It's like, well, the Yanks are doing, Star Trek.
Why don't we add time in there as well?
Yeah, fuck them.
And
we'll use a blue box.
Because he said, you know what? Fuck their big spaceship. We'll use a phone boat.
No, that's the thing, is I swear, because the original series came out in the 60s, right? I'm pretty sure they're just like, well, we got a budget, so... Oh, look, there's that phone booth sitting on the corner. Go steal that. That'll be our prop.
There's something about that just... It's really comic booky, especially the really kind of a comic book surrealism that I like about the Doctor series. Especially with the new one. It's really embracing the kind of comic book storytelling and just the kind of pop art iconography of just like that the Doctor's spaceship is a phone booth and he's...
Yeah, that's interesting, and they really could have changed that if they wanted to, and I like that they keep mentioning that they could. Mm-hmm. They keep mentioning, you could fix that chameleon circuit if you did da-da-da-da. He's like, yeah, but I like it.
Binary.
I'm
fine.
Anyway, no, it's just...
He knows how to fix it, he just doesn't.
Yeah, he likes the look of it. But like what I was getting at is, I think the mark of a great villain is not only to be completely against everything that your hero is. I think is that it has to have some kind of fundamental like horror to it. You know,
Right.
like what's fundamentally terrifying about the Joker is that anyone can become him. What's fundamentally terrifying about Lex Luthor is the amount of power he holds because people supply it to him. What's
It's a lot of clout.
fundamentally terrifying about the Daleks is it's not like it's unheard of in our own history to think this way.
We've been just like them before.
Exactly. Not every single person, but there are groups like that. And I mean, who can honestly say that they have not felt at some point better? Not necessarily genetically, but morally or just personally, emotionally, anything better than someone else. Like I have a hard time believing you if you're gonna say that. No, actually, I'm that good. I'm Superman. And if you say you're Superman, guess what you're thinking? That's the thing, is even Superman is as great a hero as he was. Even Superman, he thinks of himself as better than people. He doesn't like that he thinks that, but he definitely does.
And you actually kind of have to give Superman a break because he's not even human.
Yeah, but he tries.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. I remember an episode of Justice League where Hawk Girl said, "You humans confuse me so much," or something like that, and she looked at Clark and goes, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's like, "No, actually, I took it as a compliment." And it was one of those things, it's like, that's interesting.
That's another parallel between the Doctor and Superman.
Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. That's the thing, is he likes humans so much, and I'm almost certain. You told me that they did this in a comic book, but I don't know. That doesn't seem like it would count, because it seems like something. It just seems like something. Well, we don't really want that to be the case, so we're gonna throw it out. Because comic books, they do that all the time with tie-ins and stuff. I'm almost like 92% certain that eventually down the line we're gonna get an episode where the Doctor goes back in time to the beginning of life on Earth and genetically engineers the first living cells to eventually produce humans, because he likes them so much. He treats them, us, I guess I could kind of not remove myself from my species. He likes us so much
I
that
always knew you weren't human.
Oh, well, everybody knows it. Yeah, he is some sort of hideous genetic alien mutant from another dimension. That explains why he's dead inside.
An Irish Mexican, that's another word for it.
Yeah, pretty much. I was at a comedy club and the guy told me I looked like I was Arabic. I'm like, well, what the hell? I can't be called Mexican now. Anyway, no, it's just you get that weird thing. It's just he just seems to have such admiration and such love and hope for the race that it's like, it's so parental, you know? He's never mad at people. He's always like the Doctor. No, to me, he's never really mad. Like, he gets angry, but he's never mad at people. He's just always so disappointed in them when they do the wrong thing. Like, you really get that. You know, David Tennant did that thing a couple times where he'd cross his arms and look at someone sternly, and you'd really get ready for that. You know, I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed.
I actually know exactly the look he's talking about. Where Tennant on his arm, have his glasses on, you just kind of look down over the glasses.
Exactly, and you know, you saw this Ninth Doctor do that too. His name keeps missing.
Eccleston.
Yeah, Eccleston do that too. Like when Rose saved her father, he did that same thing. That like, I can't believe you
when
did
he's
this.
in the church.
Yeah, like he did that same kind of thing, and I haven't seen Matt Smith do it yet, but I'm sure he's going to it sooner or later. Oh wait, no, he totally did it when he was with the Homo reptilian. He was like, "You need to be the best example of human beings," and then he was like, "Shit, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" It's like he's yelling at humans about their report cards.
You got an F in what class?
Oh my god, and it's so weird. That's such a great idea, Ian. If the Doctor really turned out to be the instigator of the human race, it's like, hey, you know, and
yeah,
like
Chris, go ahead, Chris.
He is actually, to get on a bit of on topic, he is actually the reason the Daleks evolved the way they did.
Really?
Because one of the like the first Doctor, when he first encountered them, they were already as they were in their suits and everything. But later in the Doctor's life, he goes back in time on Skaro before they entered their suits. And I can't remember exactly, I'm sure Ed would know better what exactly happened. But he was basically the reason that the design and the necessity for the Daleks as they became was how it happened.
Oh, so he's the reason for the engineering of the suits the way they were and stuff?
The suits and the...
the biology, too?
And the biology.
Interesting. Aha. Wow.
He is the engineer of his greatest enemy.
Ah, that ties in more with some of the qualities of a great villain, too.
Ed was going to say something?
What?
Do you have anything to add to that, Ed?
I was thinking about that. See, I'm not that into. See, I love the old episodes, but I'm not like that much knowledge of them.
No, that's fine. It's just you seem the one that's been like you cited an old episode already, so like you're my go-to guy for that right now.
You're number one, a guy.
You know, that's the episode where those giant-ass, multicolored Daleks just get out of that transformer device. I'm yay! A red one, a black one, a blue one.
There's a video where they come out and the Power Rangers theme song is playing.
Actually, one thing I like to point out about the new paradigm, they look a bit like humpbacks. Like if you look at them from the side. They look like they're a little fat.
Yeah, that's the thing is I get why they did the new designs because these are, ultimate Daleks and they're like basically like superior officers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But there was something interesting about that uniformed gold, like immaculate armor kind of look that was really intimidating about all of them. And you could chalk it up to lazy CGI work, but at the same time, I just found that really a lot more interesting than this, multicolored Dalek thing, personally.
You'd like the very uniform, like
parallel of Nazis. I found something horrifying in that.
About how they're all the same.
Yeah, beyond Nazis, beyond just how they're all the same, it felt more like looking at a swarm of locusts at that point. Just something that comes around and devours everything.
That sounds more like Cybermen. The Daleks don't consume or devour everything. They just scourge it.
They are the embodiment of space cancer.
Space cancer. It's
yes.
We're just gonna attack space on everything here.
Dude, seriously, space geeky gentlemen.
Oh.
There's your title for this one.
No, it's gonna be Geeky Gentleman, Doctor Who, and the Daleks.
In space.
In space. Geeky Gentleman in space. Oh, Chris, you know what I have to do. You know what I have to do now.
What do I...
We're Jews. We're Jews in space. Flying around protecting the Hebrew race. We're Jews. We're Jews in space. Space. Flying around protecting the Hebrew race. You never saw History of the World Part 1? Oh man, that's like the greatest moment because alright, History of the World Part 1, it's a Mel Brooks movie. And at the end of it they go, come back for History of the World Part 2, and there's like, see, Hitler on ice, and it's like a picture of Hitler ice skating, and then like Olympic ice skating kind of thing, synchronized dancing. And then they go, see, Jews in space. And it's like all these rabbis flying giant, Stars of David spaceships.
What was really funny about that particular moment right there that you did is, I actually had an echo. So, when you're like, Jews in space, I actually heard an echo.
There might be in the recording then.
Well, that's because I got these on.
Is Chris still on? Is Chris still online? Because I have his little picture on Skype, but he's not talking. Like whenever.
It's because I'm sitting next to Ian's.
Yeah,
I know. But it's strange because when somebody talks, the little emoticon lights up. And I
yeah,
still
Yeah,
haven't.
yeah, that's
lights up.
because he has his microphone muted, and we're just using mine because Skype has a
Ah.
tendency to cut the other one out.
All right. Okay.
So we're just using mine so we can get, a
so
more
we can actually
consistent
talk
audio.
over Ian for once.
Okay,
Yeah.
one more thing, one little unrelated thing about Jews.
Oh boy.
I love the.
That should go on a T-shirt, dude.
No,
One
no.
little unrelated thing about Jews.
Well,
He's
but
getting the
seriously.
laser screwdriver ready, man.
Okay. Let me say it. Like my family is Russian Serbian, and as a child, I grew up with war-torn Bosnian guys who just fucking I don't know. It's not that they hated Jews, but Eastern Orthodox, so there's some vague anti-Semitism, and I never really got that. But then I don't know. My mom used to wash dogs, and we went to wash some little old Jewish ladies, an old Jewish boobie's dog, and I don't know. This little old lady, she came up to me, and this little old boobie came up to me and said like, "Oh, aren't you the cutest little boobala?" And I went, "I love Jews. I'm a boobala." I'm like, only the most sweetest people in the world can come up with a word as adorable as boobala. And she called me that, and I love Jews from now on. Like, I don't care what anybody's. I love Jews.
So you didn't. So before that, you didn't care for Jews.
No,
Before
There's not
yes,
really.
I hated Jews, and an old boobie called me boobala, and I loved them.
So you're putting away the laser screwdriver.
I'll put the laser screwdriver away for now.
He won't age you into a. Let's talk a little bit about that, just because that was like probably the most iconic image I have left in my head from Doctor Who. What did you guys think about that? Like Milan, you might not have seen this, but what did you think about the Doctor without any regeneration powers and showing his true age, as it were? That look of him as he truly is, age-wise.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, no, Milan hasn't.
Wait, which episode was that?
When
End
the
of
Master
Time? No.
fully aged him.
That was
Oh yeah, when he's like aging. Oh, okay, yeah.
when he looks like a
That,
little Cornish.
And it-
a Cornish game.
and it-
Say.
and then at the end he looks like Gollum.
No, he didn't look like Gollum to me. He looked like an elf. Like
Oh yeah.
I thought he looked a bit like a Cornish game hen crossed with Gollum.
This is me. This is so me. But he looks like who's that? That little girl. Belia Rose. Freaking Albion Rose. I think you if you guys on Facebook, you probably know who she is. But
no, sorry, completely missed the target here. No, just to me, it was such an interesting view that they actually, had the balls to do that with the CGI and everything, with that just little tiny little fit in your pocket old man. And the Master put him in a bird
Doctor on a
cage.
go. God, if you're going out somewhere dangerous, just put the Doctor in your pocket, and you need help.
Like
pull
that's
him
the
out.
thing is, it looked like he and Yoda could just chill all day, you know?
Yoda looking at him like, dude, I'm so high right now. I'm seeing little men.
Chris, I was gonna ask you this before, but can you do me a favor? Can you do one thing? One thing. Can you please call me Bobola?
don't do it.
He's getting out the laser screwdriver.
Please, Chris, please. I want to giggle again. Come on.
Boobala.
Ah! Ah!
What are you doing?
How do I use this?
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, I'm getting older.
I killed Chris. I aged him 700 years with the laser screwdriver for making Milan happy, because Milan can never be happy.
I'm so happy. Anything you say doesn't matter anymore. Oh, I'm so happy.
You're retarded. You're retarded.
You know what I'm
You're
gonna
so
do,
happy.
Milan? I'm gonna ruin that for you right now.
That's
Because from now on, whenever you hear someone say boobala, I want you to think about the fact that they're probably talking about your man boobs.
It doesn't matter, man. I don't care. Just a word. It's spoken by a Jew makes my heart sing with happiness.
Nah, really, when they say boobala, they're really talking about your man boobies.
Boobala.
Dude, Ian, you can't win. You cannot win. Literally, you cannot win.
I mean, You could even say that calling him Boobala would be like calling him a like dog murderer, somebody who eats people's dogs for a living.
Yeah, so true, so true.
And he would probably say, he'd be like, "Bring me the schnauzers."
All right, let's get back to Daleks and try to wrap up a little bit here.
Okay.
So we still haven't really hit as much as I wanted to about their role as villains. So we talked about, we find them that their comparison to Joker and Lex Luthor and Doctor Doom and stuff like that is very much earned.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that they are? Do you think that they rank up there with those names?
Yes.
Like it's
Yes.
you find that they're as evil quality wise. Like they're like
They tried to destroy reality.
True. I don't know, scale doesn't really mean as much without... Like, that's the thing, is the Joker never had as much scale as Darth Vader, but he was very much more evil than Darth Vader, you know what I mean?
Commitment. It's the commitment.
It's the commitment, it's that personal touch to me. And the Daleks...
Hey, they had that personal touch with the reality bomb.
Yeah, they did destroy the hostages, but that was
Not
just a
that.
test.
No, like, they made sure the Doctor was there, that the Doctor would survive it, so that they could have him, like, see what he has created. And his children of time, his companions, how he gets to see them being more, like, since he would never kill, he would always try to not kill people or things. And then, so his companions would instead. You had Martha, who was willing to destroy the Earth. You have Jack Harkness, who was just, well, in charge of Torchwood. He said at one point that he would walk up behind the Master and break his neck if he had the chance, which is something the Doctor would never do or allow. And, like, one of the things that made that personal touch is they made sure that the Doctor saw he created these people. He shaped them into this. And that's...
There was a line, I'm trying to remember who said it, but I think it was Amy's husband. He said,
Rory.
Yeah, it was Rory. He said, "You make people want to impress you."
Yeah.
And that's why he's dangerous. It's not because he implores people to do these terrible things, not because he knowingly
ask
creates
them to.
Yeah, not because he unknowingly creates weapons. It's because he just makes people want to do the best that they can. And sometimes because of how they're raised, because of like how they think,
their nature.
Yeah, and because they're not geniuses like the Doctor, the best they can do, they think, is killing. And that's always really interesting.
That's where Martha kind of made him a little proud, because she gave them the chance to stop what they were doing, or she'd blow the Earth up. Like, she gave the chance, which is what he would always do.
Yeah.
But
Alright, so we agree that they're not only compare well, but that they earn that level. So, alright, what else is there to really talk about that makes them great villains?
that they know their enemy so well.
Yes, they have very intimate knowledge about the people that they're fighting.
Especially in the episode where the new Dalek paradigm comes, they knew if they did not act like they recognized him, like they didn't know what they were, he would give them exactly what they wanted.
Yeah, and for people that haven't seen that episode, basically we had genetically unpure Daleks trying to create...
Open this...
something that was containing DNA to make...
Progenitor.
Perfect Daleks, okay?
Yeah.
And the thing is that it wouldn't open for them because they were unpure. So they went back in time and they tricked the
stuck back there, but...
Well, they basically tricked the Doctor into saying in order to satisfy this little capsule that they were really Daleks. And that's something interesting, that they had such intimate knowledge about who he was.
And patience.
Yeah, that they were able to actually make this happen. And not only that, they were willing to break Dalek code to serve other people to make it happen. Like, that's
Yeah.
what really impressed me, is that they weren't suicidal at that point. They were intelligent and they were patient. I think it's worth noting that those Daleks were not pure.
Right.
That it was the unpure ones, that it was Skaro, and it was those... Sec. God, I keep doing that. Well, this thing is, I keep calling it Sec, or Skaro. Anyway, I found it interesting that it was the unpure ones that had the most intelligent ideas to preserve the race.
Yes, because the pure Daleks, all they could think of is hate, destroy, kill, exterminate. But the ones that had other DNA in there had other ideas besides just destroy. They were the ones that were able to think, if we do this, we can destroy better.
Yeah.
They worked smarter, not harder.
Yeah, I mean, those were the ones with some human DNA, right?
Usually.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
usually human.
'Cause they're
The problem I had with that is it really contradicted the first appearance with the Ninth Doctor.
Oh, how that Dalek got the human DNA and it acted differently?
Yeah, it acted
That's
differently,
because-
and it knew it, and it immediately killed itself.
It's because that was a pure Dalek,
Oh, okay.
and it used DNA from Rose somehow infected it, and it just couldn't stand it. Whereas the other ones were born, like they were made with the impurity.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good point then.
It'd be like if you were a track runner and then suddenly both of your legs got taken off, and you're just sitting there and you're just looking at what used to be your legs, and you're like, I can't live like this.
Okay. Good analogy. Little graphic, but okay.
We're talking about Daleks.
Whoa. Did Ian just say that something was a little bit too graphic for him?
Well, no, it's not
Oh my
too graphic
God.
for me. It was a little too graphic to. It was a way in which something was too graphic to demonstrate his point. It could have been done much more subtly.
Like a Nazi officer finding out he was part Jewish.
Yeah. That.
But that wouldn't work because
He would
that
have
would mean
always
he'd
been.
have always been it.
I don't know. That's
But-
the thing, is that you could have done the same thing. It's like Voldemort when he found out that he was not pureblood.
Or when he found out his nose ran off.
Saw a picture of Nick Cage photo manipulated into Voldemort.
Probably more frightening than Voldemort.
A little bit, because he was smiling.
Another thing about the Daleks that I think make them a good villain is the entire race is not, for the most part, it is all the same. But you got like the Cult of Skaro, which is like the rest of them, but different because they can think independently, which was actually more frightening because this is all this hate, and their direction and their purpose is to take the hate to a different level. It's to think independently and hate. Make beautiful hate, if you will.
The thing is about that's a really good point, Chris, but it's really interesting because the Daleks are like a hive mind like entity, but it's really is quite terrifying considering that when you take individuals from that hive mind and they get like a personality all on their own, and those personalities are so much more better at being evil and hating than the actual crowd, then it just kind of like it's so much more terrifying. Like these guys, like individually, like as a whole, they're a giant swarm of hate-mongering little things, but individually, you get those rare mutations where they have own personal personalities, and those guys are the dangerous ones.
Like Dalek Khan and Dalek Sec. They seem like the most dangerous because they have these insane ideas that they go through with. Like combining a human and a Dalek, or Khan with the absolute maddest idea of flying into the Time War and breaking the Dalek Crucible out of the time lock, which should have been impossible, but he did at the cost of his sanity.
Yeah, and that's actually my biggest problem with that's just as a critique of the series, especially from the Doctor. I don't mind it so much from the assistants, but especially from the Doctor. I find that he says that's impossible too much. Because he's always talking about it. Well, of course it's possible. Like, anytime someone else says that's impossible, he says, well, the universe is a pretty big place. But just all the time he goes, oh, that's impossible. Well, oh, God, it's raining out. That's weird.
Well, when the Doctor sees something like a time lock, when something is time locked, that means this is where it's at. This has happened. It always happens. It's stuck in here.
Mm-hmm. And I get that. I'm just saying it kind of is like he should know that everything's possible at this point.
It is actually, like, to a Time Lord, getting something out of a time lock should be impossible.
Yeah, I got that.
His TARDIS can't get in it. The vortex manipulators can't get in it.
Mm-hmm.
The Daleks shouldn't be able to get in and out of it. Like a single Dalek, and he could, like, if it was just a single Dalek, all right, he could see that. He could understand that because it's one thing slipping through. But he pulled an entire Crucible, the whole army, out of the time lock just before it was destroyed.
Yeah, I got that. I understand that it shouldn't be possible. I just have a problem with him saying it's not. You know,
especially 10. 10 loved that word.
What?
Impossible.
Yeah.
You'd think for somebody who's seen so much.
Yeah, like it bugs me that he says it that often. Like, come on, man. Come on, really? Really now? You're the one making up giant, teddy bears and stuff like that. Come on.
Giant teddy bears? What the hell?
I picked a random thing out of the back of my head.
No, he's inventing new types of screwdrivers.
Yeah, whatever.
You're flying around through time and space in a freaking phone box.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he actually said in one of the episodes, it's like, what do you do? It's like someone's like, what do you do when you really like someone? It's like, well, don't take my route and make a new type of screwdriver. he made the sonic screwdriver because he didn't want to talk to a girl.
I don't know. I think my favorite line from the Doctor is still from 9, when he was telling Rose how he was all these famous historical people, and she goes, "What? Next you're gonna tell me you're Santa Claus?" "Oh, of course not. Rich high school when you were 3."
Whoa, what you say? What?
Right. It's like, next you're gonna tell me you're a Santa. Of course not. Red tricycle when you were 3.
I just love that. Just like the delivery is so perfect and it's so consistent with the character.
Yeah.
Because not only is it possible for him to have been Santa Claus, because like, what does he need to do? I'm just gonna stay up for a whole day and go to Christmas every year and go to everyone's house and just, I'll go to this side of the planet during these hours and then this side of the planet during these hours, so I don't run into myself. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go back and go through time and I'm gonna deliver presents.
Yeah.
I could see him doing that. Like, we just need a Christmas special where that's what he does.
He's said as much that, he crossing his own time stream is something that he cannot do, except for cheap tricks and
showing off.
I could see that as a showing off.
Yeah.
Actually, the 11th Doctor also has referenced himself to being in famous things. Like, they're listening to this piece of classical music.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is this? It's me. Explain. No, really, that's me. I'm on the triangle. I kind of get drowned out, but...
No, actually, my favorite one is when he was talking to somebody, or my favorite one from 11 is when he was talking to somebody and he goes, "Have you met Sigmund Freud?" "Oh, comfy couch."
Oh, wait. I got a good one. My favorite was from Tenet. And it was the Shakespeare episode, and he mentioned the last Harry Potter book.
Oh.
Yes!
Just wait till you read the last book. I cried.
That was even out.
I know.
Did I cry?
I know J.K. Rowling was offered a chance to write a Doctor Who episode, and she turned it down, which is disappointing. You can do a good one.
Well, in that episode also, it was like, they're trying to get Shakespeare to finish this thing. It's like, Expelliarmus.
Yeah, that was funny. Alright, well, like, let's kind of wrap up on the first episode of the new series, with him yelling at the Dalek. He said, "Give me order," or "What should I do since I'm the last Dalek?" And he yelled at it, "Just die." That is probably the most tragic moment. All the horrible things I've seen the Doctor go through in the new series, that is still probably, as early as it was and as brief as it was, is still probably the most tragic thing, because he says, just die, and the Dalek says, you would have made a good Dalek.
Right.
That, to me, really epitomizes the relationship between these two characters. Is, here we have someone who is not different in any way. Daleks are responsible for genocide, so is the Doctor. And he's arguably worse. He's arguably worse because not only has he killed thousands of people, an entire species.
It was his own.
Yeah, he's done his own. Horrifying when you think about it.
He killed his own people? What?
Yeah, he during the Time War, the Time Lords decided that they were going to wipe out all physical beings, all of time, and ascend as, basically spirits, right? And he couldn't let that happen, so he was basically responsible for the death of his own people.
With the time lock.
Yeah.
When he time locked the Time War, he made Gallifrey doomed to be destroyed with all the Time Lords on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's really tragic, and I find that Dalek saying to him, "You would make a good Dalek," to be one of the most interesting. Because in that statement, "What should I do, Doctor? You should die." That completely contradicts everything the Doctor says that he stands for.
That contradicts everything he stands for.
He could have implored it to try to be better, to try to go against what it is. And he definitely redeems himself later.
Yeah, but his entire experience with them led up to him believing they were completely irredeemable. That they had gone so far deep into their hate and single-minded eradication of everything else that he couldn't pull them out of it. They just needed to die. Yep,
I agree, and it's interesting that we have that kind of relationship. That these are horrible things. These are, speciesists, a word I don't get to use very often. It's a word that I did not make up, by the way. It's just one of those things. No, I
know you did.
Don't contradict me, Chris. No, it's just they're so ultimately speciesist and ultimately horrifying, but they're so tragic when you sit down and you really think about them. It's so sad to look at that race.
You gonna go ahead?
No, I'm not here. Anyway, go on.
I think it was Ed, but in that episode, that very moment that you're talking about, with the when he's telling the Dalek to just die, this is kind of also speaking for Eccleston's acting ability, but when he's saying it, if you look at him when he's saying it, his face is just filled with pain, anguish, and he's actually spit is foaming. His mouth is almost foaming.
See, at the same time, I saw that more as anger than as anguish, but it definitely deserves a second watching.
Yeah, there is anger all throughout the face, but if you look, it's like a pained anger. He's angry, but he doesn't like remembering why he's angry.
I would agree with that.
It's kind of a bit of also regret that he said that. That he really, I feel like after he said, I remember it because it was a long time since I saw the episode. He said, just die. He just wow.
He sat there for a second, and when the Dalek said, "You would have made a good Dalek," he realized what he just said.
Yeah.
And that's when it set in.
And that's the thing is, I think Tennant's role as the Doctor definitely redeemed that moment when he had the chance.
Set.
Yeah, with Set. When he had the chance to kill the last of the Daleks, of course, the last that he knew of, but when he had the chance to kill it and he refused to commit genocide.
Dalek Khan?
Yeah.
Well, if he'd killed Dalek Khan, it would have been the last of the Daleks. Dalek Khan was the last of the Daleks. Because after Khan, he went back and pulled them out of the Time War.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it's one of those things where it's that constant repeating. It's someone dooming themselves. It's Oedipus all over again.
Well, the Doctor's whole life is just him causing himself grief.
Yeah, and it was just interesting. And as terrible as the consequences were from that, I really did find that to be a redeemable moment for the character morally. That he refused to let himself become them.
Yeah.
He'd let himself get so close that he was willing to do all these terrible things to his own people, and he was willing to live with that and just try to, you know, exile himself to never have a home and to just travel forever, you know, to just be this wanderer, to never let himself get too close to anybody. I found that interesting.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of how much he hates himself.
Yeah, we could discuss that, but that's almost all video on its own,
Yeah.
and we're about 2 hours in. So we're just we're gonna wrap up. Milan and Ed, you guys were quiet, so I'll let you two have any last words you'd like to add right now.
Okay, basically, the Doctor is an awesome guy. The Daleks are evil. The shows are amazing. If you don't like Doctor Who, then you are not a true geek. And this whole 2-hour session was just us proving that we are just the most insane geeky guys. That we are the geeky gentlemen, if you will, of your.
Hey, that sounds like an awesome name for a show.
Yeah, man, it's so. Yeah, it's a great show.
Geeky Gentlemen in space.
Oh, by the way, guys, we're still taking, Skype-ins, and if you want.
Well, I'll get to that. Ed, do you have anything you want to add?
No, Malone wants to hear Sal's voice. Continue, sir.
Oh, thanks.
No. Do you have anything to add to the points? Because Milan's just getting to our wrap up, and I want to make sure we're done talking about stuff before we.
All right. Well, Doctor Who, I consider is one of my favorite series on television, and the Doctor's he is just a fascinating characters because there's 11 of them, and the thing about the Daleks and the Doctor is he is such a pacifist, and the Daleks are like the definition of that Doctor universe of violence and death and destruction. And he, as you know, he hardly used guns. He does kill people, but he hardly use guns.
Guns. He's used a gun, I think, twice that I know of.
Once
yeah,
was-
but that's like,
Yeah.
He's
But,
never used to kill people.
but
I've never seen him use a gun to kill people, actually.
yeah, there you go. But with the Daleks, I just enjoyed the mindset. It's strange to say I enjoy their mindset, but the way how they approach to things and their determination, and it's just they are just a fascinating alien race in Doctor Who. And I'm allowed to talk more because this is pretty much your show.
Well,
Okay.
it was just that the Daleks, like, you have the Doctor that's pessimistic, very pragmatic. If he's optimistic, it's because he knows the outlooks are grim. And then you have the Daleks that are, like, they're always optimistic that what they're doing, what they're planning will work.
Mm-hmm.
If the Daleks think something's not going to work, it's actually probably not going to work if it's their own things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, and it's a pretty good place to wrap up on. Like I said, we're still taking. We want to start this new segment, and I understand that these aren't going to be important, but we want to do Skype-ins. You got call-ins on radio shows, and we want to give the audience a chance to say something. And that's why we announce our topics for what we're doing next. And the thing is, we want to make sure we address everything. So if you hear our topic for next week and you want to comment on it, you want us to directly address your comments or your questions or concerns, please send us a Skype in. And what we'll have you do is, you record your voice and send either myself or Milan the file. My Skype name is SidPart2, Milan's is Milan.Jeftic5, and you can send either of us the file, or you can send me a download link via YouTube, or however, get it to us, just get it to us, and we'll play it right in the middle of the show and directly address your concern.
Oh,
So,
yes, and by the way...
And the first person to send in a Skype in, Milan will draw you.
Yes.
And he's the one that drew us here in the title card week to week, and he's great artist, so, you know, get on that. It could be really cool, you know, just to have a piece of art of you. And he'll draw you in any position you want, because all he needs is a picture of your face. Yes, yes.
You had to use that term.
Dude. Milan will draw you like one of his French girls.
Will he illustrate? Illustrate.
Right?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Anything goes. And by the way, anything goes. Whatever sick, twisted thing you want me to draw you as, I will oblige. With this,
Okay, yeah, seriously. I mean, like, I'm just saying. I mean, if you happen to be the kind of person that likes to, you know, do centaur sex, and you imagine yourself with, you know, your long hair tied back as a centaur pulls it and just, you know, really rides you.
You're not good at this. Let me try.
Let's not try that. Let's not.
If you want me to draw you jacking off alligators as a giant centaur with long flowing hair and hard rock abs, fighting a giant cyclops while afterwards going at him. Okay, I'm gonna stop. But
Okay,
anyway,
until next time. Oh wait, no, Chris, you're joining us next week, right? Yeah. So here's the thing, Chris. I'm gonna put you on the spot right now. It has to be something an idea that we can debate about. Here you go. What are we gonna be discussing next week, Chris?
What?
Chris is picking our topic next week. It can be any idea. Just something that's geeky and that we can debate about.
Geeky that we can debate about. Give me a second.
That's alright, it's alright.
Take all the time you need.
Geeky. As long as you don't start describing those again.
No, Milan, you have you have the next 20 seconds. Or
Hurry up,
Milan will
Jew.
begin describing things again.
Ooh, I have wonderful things planned.
Would you rather bang Dolly Parton?
No.
What?
No.
Technology in different things. Like, there's the laser screwdriver and stuff.
Okay, so sci-fi technology.
Sci-fi technology.
Okay, we're gonna be discussing sci-fi technology next. That sounds awesome, by the way. We're gonna be discussing sci-fi technology next week. So on that note, we are your geeky gentlemen, and until next time, we will be discussing things.